All right, so we're back. We're doing webinars again. I'm excited. It's been some time. God, I feel like it's been a long time. I think I had more hair by then. No, I never had hair. But you look younger than ever, so that's good. At least one of us aging is looking good at them. Um, all right, so we're gonna talk about CDPs, my favorite subject. We're gonna talk about it in a different aspect in a B2B space. But I think probably be good to do quick intros just for some people that maybe don't know us. Jack, you want to do us the honors?
Sure. Yeah. Hey, everyone. My name is Jack Roy. I am a data architect and digital strategist at Softcrylic. I lead the data architecture team at Softcrylic, and pretty heavily embedded in the CDP space these days. It's very popular with a lot of our clients, and specifically the B2B CDP space, which is what we'll be focusing on in this call. We've been working on a lot of implementations lately for B2B. My team's been honestly stretched pretty thin doing a lot of B2B work. So really excited to be talking with you today, Jerry, about B2B.
Awesome. Yeah, I'm Jerry. Hello. I'm part of the solution architecture group at Softcrylic. I work closely with Jack on a lot of these projects. We've been big fans of CDP since the beginning, and we were really excited when we start seeing a shift in the market to concentrate on B2B, because that was a gap. We had a lot of clients that were trying to use the B2C CDPs in a B2B aspect, and it's just like so difficult. Like the data models were really hard to replicate. So seeing that change over the past couple of years is awesome. We've done some good implementations. We've learned a lot from them. So I think this is going to be a cool webinar that we can talk through, share with you some of the good, the challenges, and of course, what are the wins to expect. So let me just set some in terms of agenda. We did the welcome and introductions. We're good there. But we're going to concentrate on three areas: good, challenges, and wins. Try to spend equal amount of time. The goal here is to give you an idea of what to expect and also things to think about. You might be early on in this journey, you might be in the middle of it, but it's always good to know. These are things that we tell our clients. We are in a process right now helping a client picking a new CDP for their B2B implementation, and we're having similar conversation telling them, hey, this is what to expect. These are the things to think about. Uh, so yeah, Jack, you ready to get started?
Let's do it.
All right. So we're going to talk about initially how this what are the good stuff? What are the good things and the value that a CDP has been, specifically in a B2B space, has been bringing to the table. And we kind of summarized it into these 8 points. And I want to talk through them a little bit. Jack, I'm I want to get your input on when we talk about an expanded customer 360. Obviously, the idea of customer 360 is like, God, if I hear another customer 360 concept, I will lose my mind. I can't believe we're talking about it, but it's a bit different in the B2B space. I would love your input on why is it different and why is it expanded? It's not only a normal customer 360, it's like customer 360 plus. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, no, that's exactly right. Yeah, so what we're seeing in the B2B space, specifically with CDPs, a lot of vendors are not they're not throwing away their B2C offering when it comes to a B2B version of their product. Usually what we're seeing them do, which we honestly really like, is they're expanding upon the B2C nature of, fundamentally how people buy things, right? Um, because, B2B, it really functionally for so many of our clients is B2B2C. So expanded customer 360 in the context of a B2B CDP would be taking the B2C foundation of customer profiles, individual people, and the demographic and event data that's associated with those profiles, and layering on top of it the accounts they're a part of in a B2B space, the opportunity stages of those accounts. Even some CDPs we're seeing are starting to support account level events. So the idea here is so many vendors are doing the right thing, which is they are expanding upon a proven concept, the B2C CDP, and layering on top of it B2B objects that you can use to hydrate those B2C profiles, as well as create account level profiles and audiences. So yeah, it's really exciting, and we've seen a lot of efficacy with it with our clients.
So I'm assuming with an expanded um, aspect of a customer 360, which is not anymore a customer, it's a customer and a company and an account and an
Right.
opportunity. It's an expanded data model. Segmentation becomes like wild. Tell us
Yeah.
a little more. Is you're not anymore, my understanding is segmentation now, you have different levels. Are you segmenting on the account level? Are you segmenting on the opportunity, on the customer, on the combination? So how advanced does segmentation become with this? What's the art of the possible?
Yeah. Yeah, it's all based off of that expanded customer 360 concept, right? Like with the addition of new classes, new objects, new things that you can use to build out your customer and account data in a singular space, like a CDP. Naturally, you have to start making decisions around, do I want to build do I care about audiences of people? Do I care about audiences of accounts? Do I care about some combination of both? A lot of CDPs are great in that they allow B2B CDPs that they allow for example, a customer audience, like an audience composed of people, to be hydrated by account level information, and vice versa. So account level audiences being hydrated by person level information. So it just allows you to it allows you to build your audiences in a more, I think, complex way, which can be scary. It certainly has been with with some of the CDPs we've worked with lately. But
And
at the
this
same
is
time,
combining both, right? Like combine, you
yeah,
mentioned that before,
yeah,
events, which is behavioral, as
right,
well as attributes and time frames you're looking at. I mean, one of the things I remember one of our clients was, hey, I want to know if someone did this and that person is part of this company where this company have spent this amount of money with us in the past X amount of time. I'm like,
right,
whoa, wait a minute. Like
yeah.
you're talking about multiple tables, multiple things, like specifically to create that segments in a data model. That's not easy, but it's becoming more doable.
100%. And even more like you get just also more control within your segment. So a lot of these vendors are starting to support a concept of like buying groups, which are essentially
Mhm.
subsets of an account, um, basically like decision makers at different levels of a sales cycle, right? Being able to pinpoint the right person to talk to at the right time within an account is, I think, a really powerful B2B CDP functionality
Yeah.
that honestly we haven't even seen a lot of customers utilize yet to its full potential, but I really see it being like the evolution of how these audience activation campaigns are going to be built. Um, so super cool to see.
Amazing. Okay, so I think the next piece is lead scoring, which is lead scoring is not a foreign concept to B2B business, right? So lead scoring is the idea is you have a lead coming in and you're able to score it based on certain touches. I think the extension here with the B2B CDP is that um, some of these leads can be scored based on the existing customer information that is in the system. So two edges to that. One would be this is a lead that is of an existing account. So having historic information about that account can help into better scoring that lead, but also that lead being very similar and look-alike of existing other accounts or other leads that were converted in the system can help us in scoring the propensity of it. That is beautiful, in my opinion. The ability for us to leverage now combining lead management kind of scoring into in our customer data platform that can allow us to also communicate with these leads based on that. That is now your CDP is beyond just a customer CDP. It's like the lead LDP, lead data platform as well, in some sense. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. I actually don't even have much more to add. I mean, the lead scoring capabilities we've seen are also an aspect that I feel like a lot of our customers would benefit from taking advantage of more, especially like some of the predictive capabilities for lead scoring. I mean, the thing is that I think a lot of our clients are they have a framework for scoring their leads, and they don't really want to deviate too much from that. But it is something that these new CDPs are starting to offer natively within the platform. So if that's something that like your company isn't doing right now, you don't know where to start, maybe starting with some sort of like uh, functionality directly within your B2B CDP might be a good place to begin.
Yeah,
So
absolutely. All right, so stronger ABM, account-based marketing. That's something I I'm when I started looking at B2B years ago, I didn't know much about account-based marketing. I didn't understand what that meant. But over time, like it made sense in terms of like how do you market based on just an account itself, not only the people, not only as a customer, but it's an overall account. I think the combination between advanced segmentation, expanded customer 360 plays a big role in having that a stronger tool. You can now take your ABM to the next level by having that B2B model that is unified that allows you to have the right full picture.
yeah, 100%.
Um, let's talk about sales and marketing alignment. I think when I've been in or when I work with organizations, we always see this like two teams. We have sales, which are still kind of a bit old school, but modernized in terms of closing a deal. Let me get a lead, let me work on that lead, let me turn them into a customer or an account. And then marketing, where they're like, hey, let's help you in procuring these leads. Let's help you in getting these leads to the top of the funnel. I think what a CDP here, beyond just disrupting the entire space, it actually builds a better relationship between sales and marketing because the efforts that the sales are doing should be aligned with the marketing the same way they should be who they go after. It's a unified segmentation. The same segment that salespeople are going after should be the same segment definition and logic and value that marketing is going after. And we saw this. Remember, like, I think some of what we did was one of our clients had Salesforce where the sales team was using, and they had a CDP that the marketing was launching campaigns. And one of their biggest things is like, okay, where are we comparing? Are we targeting the same people, apples to apples? And yeah, I think that was as an eye opener that gave these teams more confidence to work together. I don't know if you want to add more to that, but that's a piece I feel like so valuable in bringing more cohesion between different teams within the organization or teams
Yeah.
that don't typically work together much.
Yeah, I think we'll touch on it in the challenges section, but definitely if you can get this part right with a shared data foundation between these two groups, the B2B CDP becomes a really powerful tool. If you don't get it right, um, both, from a data perspective and from an operational perspective, it's going to be a pain in the butt to deal with. But A lot of these B2B CDPs have been built in a way to support better integration between these groups. So, and we'll talk a little bit about how that works, but definitely a very important aspect of these tools. I agree.
Yep. Yep. There's a lot of um, advanced analytics, I want to say, that I'm seeing more in CDPs. I don't want to say AI just because it's not yet to that agentic level that I expect, but one of them is attribution that is great just to see attributing what are the efforts and things that can be used in segmentation. So this lead, how we were able to close that lead, was it a human communication? Was it an advertising? Was it an email? Was it what role we addressed like within that account to close the deal? All of these are learnings and attributing, having the right attribution allows us to learn from them so we can be better in segmentation. I think this is
Yeah,
where smart segments become a big deal.
for sure. And especially in the B2B landscape where these sales cycles are so long, there's so many touches, there's so much
Yeah.
negotiation, so many players, right? Um, the fact that a lot of these vendors are prioritizing attribution tracking, I think is a good key in that they are thinking about these products the right way. Um, knowing the B2B space the way it is. So
Yep. Yep. All right. So last two pieces, and then we can move on to the challenges. But one of them is zero copy support. Tell me more about this because there's
yeah,
so many, and tell me every name under the sun that means zero copy because
yeah,
I'm always entertained in hearing. So let's go.
yeah.
Zero copy.
It's for sure another buzzwordy term right now,
Hmm.
along with artificial intelligence and agentic AI, blah blah blah. Zero copy goes by a lot of names. Data federation is one of the very common ones, but essentially, um, a lot of these B2B CDPs are starting to understand that their customers are not super interested in moving over all of their sensitive data into a what it usually amounts to a black box, because a lot of these enterprise CDP vendors, they are fundamentally black boxes, right? That makes a lot of companies uncomfortable, especially companies that we work with in the healthcare space, in the financial services space, right? There's not a lot of appetite for maintaining another system with all of your customer data. It's just more risk. Not to mention it requires a lot of, schema and data model maintenance. So zero copy
Mm,
support from a B2B perspective, really important, really valuable, because it gives customers, or at least our customers, flexibility in what they bring into a CDP. But at the same time, allows them to usually reference or query that data where it sits
yeah.
upstream. So you can still use it to build your audiences, to activate campaigns, but you don't have to bring it into a new system, which is really
Yeah.
valuable. So
And just obviously, composable is the same wording that has been
yeah.
used by every vendor out there.
Yep.
It's nice to see it in B2B because I think B2B data sets are heavy, right? You're talking about account information, you're talking about third-party information, talking
Yep.
about identity management is so complex that it's so
Right.
unique to that company that some of them they're not interested in leveraging a CDP's identity resolution. They have their own identity graph. They invested money in it. So zero copy is really exciting to see in the B2B space. I think it has a bigger impact there than a B2C, just because the sheer volume of data and diversity in the data sources.
Yeah. Agreed.
Yeah. All right, real-time integration, is that real? Is how real is this
Yeah.
versus being like near real time or or have you been seeing it happening more often?
Near real time is definitely a better way.
Yeah.
Better phrasing, I'd say. Less
I
fraught.
mean, does real time matter for B2B? Like given the life cycle?
It depends. It definitely depends. Like for example, if your company is not a true B2B, but like a B2B to C, right? Where you've got, say, like an e-commerce platform that your accounts log into to place orders, right? And we've seen that with a lot of our, well, some of our clients. It can be beneficial to have some real-time capabilities for the usual like on-site personalization type use cases where you're pulling in segmentation data directly from the CDP, pushing it to your properties and showing the, people that are actually making those orders, like, some sort of information to potentially, convert, right? It's a
Hmm.
similar use case for B2C, but I agree with you. I mean, for B2B, this isn't as big of a use case, but still nice to see that they're thinking about, certain customers that might have
Yeah.
this desire, right? So,
Yeah, totally. Okay. So it sounds B2B CDPs are great idea. Everyone who's in the B2B space should be considering a CDP. I mean, I'm just kidding, but if you're considering, there's definitely a lot of value. It's not for everyone, but hey, it's good. But now let's be real. Let's talk about challenges. I mean, I don't think there's never been a smooth implementation of any
no,
CDP.
no.
Part of the reason we're in business is because there's problems and we are problem solvers. So we like problems, but let's talk about some of them. Um, Data silos. Every company has it, but why is it a bigger deal in a CDP, in a B2B space, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it goes back to, funny enough, one of the benefits of the B2B CDPs, the whole expanded customer 360. I mean, what comes with that is obviously more data and more schemas and more data flows and more automation. It's just
Yeah,
more. So,
more of
uh,
everything. Yeah.
more of everything, right? So, I mean, it just ups the ante on the complexity of these implementations. And um, it's really important to to break down these silos. It's such a stupid term, but break down the data silos. It is important to do it at the
And the
beginning
hammer.
implementation project because otherwise it just causes so much pain for marketers,
Mhm.
once these tools are up and running. So
Yeah.
easier said than
And
done.
this is
Yeah.
and this is where it's a challenge. Breaking down these silos can be definitely challenging.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
because you're dealing with internal, you're dealing with technology on the client side. You're also dealing with people who have their main jobs has been building these data sets and they stand very
Yeah.
strongly and emotionally with them. So,
Can be
God, we've
politically
been in some,
for
oh,
sure.
yes. My favorite meetings is going through and telling a client that their data needs some work and the reaction I get from that, not good. Um, Identity resolution. I want to talk about that a little bit. I know you have a lot to talk about it, but it's so messy. I mean, you would think from a customer perspective, it can be messy. In a B2B, it's in a different animal.
Yeah.
Um, Mainly because when you talk about, when you're looking at a customer, it's a customer that can have multiple IDs. Great. These IDs can roll up to a customer. But then you added another layer of an account, and a
Mhm.
customer now an account has multiple customers, and then these customers can move from one account to another, and then you have all these scenarios. Like we used to have these edge cases when we look at identity resolution. We look at edge cases and say, oh, this might happen, but the possibility of it happening is low. But in a B2B, those edge cases are are much more often happening.
Yeah.
Just because how depending on the business model, I think in financial services or accounting services, I think that's been like an eye-opening for us. But others, like in healthcare, also, it's been clear that people move around, people do their own thing. People might be working in multiple companies doing the same thing, just that's their business model. How do we ensure that this doesn't cause a collapse or a hallucination of these identities? Is such a challenge. How do you
Yeah.
feel like we've been dealing with it so far, though?
We've been learning for sure.
Mm,
I think to your point, it is uh, eons more complex than a B2C identity resolution uh, work stream. When you come to the B2B space, you're talking about, like you said, multiple levels of the concept of like a marketable thing, right? You got accounts, you've got parent and child accounts, you've got multiple decision makers within these accounts, storing event data across all these different concepts of a marketable thing is complex. And fundamentally, going back to the data silos, I mean, the more data sources you add into these CDPs, the more it gets a little crazy on the ID resolution side, which can add to time it takes to evaluate these audiences, time it takes to push them downstream to any activation point, right? So it's just, I mean, so much of this, the flavor you're going to see on this slide is related to how B2B is really like a module on top of B2C, and then all the fun that
yeah,
comes with that. It's complex.
totally, totally. I think I my advice is that to when you reach as a company, you reach that stage of identity resolution, take your time
Yeah.
thinking through it. Um, there always a situation where you can have a short term and a longer term, but still, even with that, give it some thought because that can have a huge impact on your business. And that's the piece you do not want to get wrong. So totally recommend spending enough time there. Cross-team barriers and adoption resistance. Oh my. Yeah, I mean, not only we are dealing between sales and marketing, we just talked about sales and marketing working together, yes, but also in reality, it's difficult. And also, I think combining this with the UI complexity, CDPs still are not the most marketer friendly. I don't care what vendors say that it's a tool that everyone can use. It's still not intuitive enough. What's your thoughts
Yeah.
about that?
My thought is definitely don't believe the hype in terms of the usability of these tools, at least from the get-go. I mean, they can be complex, and the B2B layering in B2B just makes it even more complex. Like even from creating a simple audience, we've spent sometimes a lot of time just creating simple use case audiences because of the complexity of these B2B data models that we have to maintain. And then in terms of, cross team barriers, I mean, back to my, everything in an implementation has the risk of being a political flashpoint within an organization, I'd say. So maybe the best advice I could give here is like kind of try to flesh out those potential flashpoint areas before you start a project and make sure that
Mm,
um, all these teams are actually aligned with the general idea and value of a B2B CDP. You don't want like multiple teams trying to tear you down during an implementation from the inside. That's not fun, and it takes a lot away from the value of what you can do in this tool. So it's easier said than done, all of this, but still, I think important to call out.
yeah, having the right partners on the internal side, like if I'm a client in the B2B space, I would create a preliminary COE from the beginning around how we want to do this.
Totally.
It should be a pillar of technical that understands the data, understand the security, the access to it,
Right.
the complexity there. then you
Mhm.
need to have the aspect of the business ownership, what matters to the marketers, what matters for activating on this, and then sales, because sales are going to be coming, making requests from marketers to say, hey, help me in pushing this. And they need to understand what is possible. It's not a magical platform that can do everything. So I feel creating that early on, and having specific people who are responsible for these things will come in handy. All right, let's talk about MVPs and over engineering MVP. I would love to hear, like, is there a specific example you feel like where you've seen that happen? You were very passionate on this when you and I were prepping.
Yeah. Um, yeah. So for MVPs, I mean, don't try to do too much in the beginning. I think that's the like least emotional I can get about this one.
I think
Try.
I know exactly the example because I think there was a case, I remember this. There was a case where the client wanted to create an MVP that tested the identity resolution, tested every data source that they had, including a data lake that was not yet done, and also activating on every destination
Yeah.
that that was like almost like seven different use cases into one, but that was their MVP. And it took forever. It just we were not even, I think we struggled to even get it off the ground just because of the level of involvement it needed and
Right.
readiness. They were not ready for that. But
Yeah.
that can ruin a project and can delay getting value out of a tool like that.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I think just my one piece of advice here would be, um, really you do have to start somewhat small for these types of implementations in terms of like the initial use cases you spin up. Those use cases, not to say should be small in terms of impact. You should choose your highest value use cases, but you should definitely keep in mind that this is an iterative platform, right? This is something that you build on top of. As long as you get the data models, the relationships, and the identity resolution right from the get-go, you should be able to spin up use cases fairly quickly. But um, uh, it's during an implementation specifically focusing on like one or two very high value use cases and trying not to get too lost in all the edge cases that could happen um, is my recommendation. Because you really want to suck up as much value as you can initially, prove internally that this is a useful tool, and then iterate upon it. Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
totally. All right. So, tool overlap, what do you, I'm assuming that seeing that a CDP might have some functionality similar to what they have, or is it the idea of like transitioning from one to another? What's your thoughts about the tool overlap, the challenge it brings?
Yeah, I think the idea of a B2B CDP is sound, but I think that fundamentally a lot of what you can build in a B2B CDP, you could technically build in other tools, other types of tools. Um, the value of a B2B CDP should be that it's to take load off of IT and engineering and put it on marketing so that marketing can go and build the things that they need to do to activate their campaigns, and then engineering can go and do other stuff, right? But what I'm honestly seeing with a lot of our B2B clients right now who have B2B CDPs is that they're still relying pretty heavily on um, their tech teams to uh, build things for use within the B2B CDP. So this is more of a note of caution, the fact that like you might have tools that do a lot of the things that a B2B CDP does already.
Yeah,
And maybe you don't need a B2B CDP. I mean, fundamentally, like not everybody needs one of these tools. But
sure.
uh, I think identifying the actual, like what you actually want to get out of this kind of tool, like is it that you want to make it easier for marketers to go and do the things that they need to do without pulling in more people? that's a great idea, but you also have to um, be honest with yourself and knowing your data and knowing how complex things are, operations, right? Are there things that you can change faster than implementing a CDP? Maybe.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, that's all I'm gonna say.
totally. The piece about the last point about the challenge is the sales cycle. And I think this kind of ties into proving value. Um,
Yeah,
and this is where it is going to be a good segue to the next section about the wins. But life cycle, the sales cycle in a B2B model is long.
very.
Um, it's long. Yes, there could be an impact that this might shorten it, the CDP. We'll talk about that. But still, regardless, it's like to see the value and get that return on investment and champion it and meet the expectations of the executives. It's a
Mm-hmm.
challenge.
Is yeah.
It's a major challenge. It's not like in a B2C where you can activate a campaign, see quickly a reaction, more sales. Like, in a B2B, it's longer, and
Yeah.
that is definitely a challenge.
Yeah. Not to mention that, going back to, we've kind of beat this horse already, but like so many of these B2B CDPs are iterations of the earlier B2C versions of a lot of these, vendors' CDPs. So the B2B CDPs are trying to, I think, um, support these longer sales cycles, but like we're seeing like weird quirks here and there with some of these CDPs where they don't support like things that you would expect a B2B product to support, like look backs
Mm,
past, 90 days, or like things
hmm
that are important when your sales cycles are like sometimes 6 months to a year to multi-year deals, right? Uh,
mm, mm.
so these are things that I think will definitely change,
This
especially,
will change over time.
yeah,
Yeah,
absolutely. But it's something to keep in
as the
mind now.
product catches up.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's a good point. That's a good point. Yeah. All right. Let's talk about the last section, which is, I did a terrible job preparing for this. I didn't update the titles, but let's talk about the wins. Let's end this on a high note. We talked about the good, we talked about the challenges. Talk about the wins. And before we talk about the wins, I want to say it's very hard to show a value of a CDP. Like that, this is general statement, because the CDP is not like allowing you to send an email or allowing you to send more emails or allowing you to spend more money or advertise more. It's allowing you to do a lot of stuff. So for it to show value and show return on investment, you really need to be clear on what are the benchmarks that you want to test against. So there's so many situations that we implement the CDP and we're asked right away, okay, return on investment. We're like, this is a bit hard, but I want to just put that out there so that people know. But let's talk about some of the wins. I think one of them, right off the bat, is shortening sales cycle, right? Like we talked about sales cycle being long, but with the idea of a CDP, the fact that we are able to communicate, able to do things in a CDP fashion where we are reaching the right person within the organization with a relevant message. We are servicing the account and being efficient in the way that we chase them. Then the idea is a sale could happen much faster compared to before, even if it is cutting it down by a week or by a day. I
Yeah.
think that we have seen a track record that this is happening because of the CDP being good at what it does
Yeah.
and having the right segmentation behind it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think a lot of, honestly, some of the most effective use cases I've seen with not just B2B CDPs, but B2C as well, have been centered around um, like cost reduction. Like B2Ps, CDPs are very efficient tools. And I think a lot of my work of the past couple of years has been trying to get more focus organizationally for our clients around these around the like sort of efficiency gains from using a
Mm-hmm.
CDP versus necessarily fully focused on like conversion and revenue generation and the other side, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of value with CDPs for suppression, for shortening the
Mm-hmm.
sales cycle, right? Those are all super valuable, just like revenue generation. So and they're typically easier to implement and measure, um, because yeah. So I think shortening sales cycles is a big benefit for B2B
Yeah.
CDPs. That's something that we're going to see more and more as these get implemented for our clients.
Related to that, the measurable ROI. Um, so yes, although CDPs are difficult to measure return on investment, but because we have a higher conversion rates, I think with B2B CDPs, and we're shortening the sales cycle. These are two metrics that can feed into measuring this return on investment. I think return on investment here, again, to your point, it's also beyond the sale. It's also in efficiency. So I actually want to jump into talking about the operational efficiency and the cultural shift. But walk me through, what have you seen happening in companies, how they've been changing B2B companies, operationally and culturally with introducing the CDP into the mix?
Yeah, I think it's slow going, to be honest. I think a lot of the wins here that we have on this slide are wins that we will be seeing in the future. I mean, we've seen the shortened sales cycles. We've seen a start of a cultural shift in a lot of our clients, but these are big tools, and like I said, they're can be politically fraught to bring in a tool like this in your organization. So, um, what we are seeing for sure is less friction between like marketing and sales and IT. And that for a lot of companies is worth its weight. I mean, um, uh, not having to be a part of like a 30 or 40 email thread to get like one campaign off the ground, and instead
Mm,
it's like an automated process um to upload into some sort of platform, evaluate some sort of audience, and push that off to, I don't know, Google Ads, right? That is super beneficial. So those people can focus on other things that are important. Um, so again, but I'm not going to lie to you. I think a lot of this is still to come. It's what we expect to see,
hmm.
and we're starting to see like bits and pieces of it here within our clients, especially some of our clients that have been running with a B2B CDP for like a year or more now. But it's going to take time, I think, to really soak out or really to really isolate the true wins of this tool. Um,
Yeah. Yeah, I always believe that CDPs are disruptors.
yeah,
Um, they they come in, um, they should change the way we do things in a company, the way that we do marketing, the way that we do sales. Like it should be. If it's not, then you are not using the CDP properly,
right.
right? So I take it as a win because companies always need to innovate, they need to change. That's why some companies do all these org changes from time to time, just because things are not working or things can work better. I think CDP naturally comes and does that, and I love that. I think that's a win.
Yeah,
It's a good way to shift things around.
yeah.
Um, Now, with that, the scalable foundation. If I were to interpret how that happens, is that now you have a platform that is allowing you to do a lot of your sales and marketing in an efficient way. And now you can scale up and do more that like automating things, right? Like it's less about you have things in Salesforce, let's say CRM, in a Sales Cloud where you're manually going and nurturing and going after. Like a CDP can pull in this information and just say, hey, I see based on the segmentation that these are accounts that we should go after, and able to do that. So it's allowing you to reach more accounts and grow into doing more with the same technology instead of adding more people or adding more time or processes. How do you
Yeah.
think about foundation, like the scalability that CDP brings here into a B2B organization?
Yeah, I think you know, by nature they are very scalable tools. I mean, these are a lot of them are enterprise tools, so they provide a lot of stuff out of the box, but fundamentally they're, kind of plug and play. Like you can use different aspects of them, and you can iterate over time. I mean, there's a lot of things that you can build on top of a good base data model and identity resolution strategy. So kind of plays into like, but this is the danger, right? Like it's a scalable foundation, but that doesn't mean you want to like go crazy from the beginning. You want to start with your high impact use cases. You want to measure success, do the usual uh, implementation life cycle of a marketing campaign, right? And then you want to build on top of it.
Mm,
Don't try to temper your excitement when you get one of these tools because it's so easy to get super excited and then that excitement turns to just burn out and and then that's not good for anyone. So um,
totally,
yeah,
totally. And then finally, which I think is a value that every CDP brings, but it's nice to see that in a B2B aspect, is the customer experience.
yeah,
Um, yeah, we always talk about this, and this is such a cliche, the right message to the right person, right account at the right time. I think the right time is there's never a right time. It's really that is very
right,
unpredictable, but having the proper relevant message to the right person or the right account or the right influencer, these are things that yeah, and with that, it is bringing a better experience. I mean, we are today. I can imagine B2B companies, especially now AI space, there's so many new companies, new things, new offerings. And with these offerings, there's a zillion of new companies that are doing this. So
yeah,
you're getting pitched every day in and out. But having the right pitch by the right message and the right offer um, I think I appreciate that. Like if you know
yeah,
what I want and I've showed signs this is what I'm looking for, and you're able to come and tell me, hey Jerry, I noticed that your company is looking for this and we can offer this, and here's the information that you were looking for. And yeah, that's the experience we want. And this is where we hope and we continue to promote the idea that the CDP in general is able to live up to that challenge.
yeah, agreed.
Yeah. All right. I think this is it. This is the story of B2B CDPs. I do think to wrap it up from my perspective, um, plan properly. Make sure you have your teams internally ready for it. It's exciting. It's powerful. Do take your time in picking the right vendor. Don't get influenced by going to a conference and coming back and saying, "Hey, I saw this great stuff. It has everything." Take the time, evaluate. You're gonna be married to that platform for a bit of time. Divorce are expensive, so also the same thing with leaving a CDP. There is value. Get the right people involved. Get the right partner, aka you can call us up. Always be here to help you out. And yeah, I think this will be very impactful on a lot of B2B organizations that have not yet leveraged the CDP. How about you, Jack? Close us out.
Uh, I agree with everything you said. I mean, I think that's all the truth. Yeah, I the one thing I would just emphasize again is definitely plan properly. Pull on a partner that has experience with these types of implementations. And even if you've already implemented a CDP and you just need help, like fleshing out, value, right? That's also something that a lot of partners, not just Softcrylic, but a lot of companies are capable of doing. And I think yeah, these tools, they're super powerful. They can be daunting, they can be exciting. But fundamentally they're going to change a lot over the next couple of years, and we're just excited to be kind of along for the ride with a lot of our customers. So um,
Definitely.
yeah,
Great. Well, thank you, Jack. It's been absolute pleasure talking
thank
to you and
you,
geeking out
Jerry.
about CDPs. And thank you, Sammy and Softcrylic, for setting up this summer camp. I love the concept. Hopefully, we'll be able to do more webinars. We need to do more. This is fun. I enjoy that. I still hear people from time to time. They come to us and they say, "We listened to you on this webinar. It was helpful." So we really need to do more of that. But yeah.